This story is titled, My Girlfriend Forgot Her Phone at Home on Proposal Day. What I discovered made me plan the most brutal revenge. Hey guys, I'm still processing all this shit and needed to get it off my chest. So I, 30 male, met my girlfriend Avery, 28 female, about 3 years ago at this coffee shop I used to hit up before work. I was running late that morning, trying to grab my coffee and bolt to an early meeting. In my rush, I did the most cliche thing possible, turned too fast and slammed straight into this girl who was waiting for her drink. My coffee went everywhere, all over my white shirt, my pants, probably ruined my only decent pair of work shoes. Instead of being pissed that I nearly baptized her in hot coffee, she laughed. Like, genuinely laughed. Not that fake polite laugh people do when they think you're an idiot, but a real one. Then she grabbed a stack of napkins and handed them to me. You always make first impressions this memorable? She asked with this little smirk that I still remember perfectly. I'm standing there, coffee dripping down my shirt, looking like a complete disaster, but somehow managed to stammer out something about buying her a replacement drink. She said yes, which shocked the hell out of me. Even more shocking? I got her number at the end of it. Our first date was at this dive bar. She showed up looking way too good for that place. I remember thinking I was totally outclassed. Avery worked in marketing, had this fancy executive title at some big firm downtown. Meanwhile, I was just a regular code monkey at a software company. Nothing special. We hit it off immediately, though. Talked for hours. She was smart, funny, ambitious. Everything I wasn't. But somehow it worked. Fast forward a year, and we moved in together. Got this decent apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, but the location was killer. We were that annoying couple that seemed to have everything figured out. Talked about the future, about marriage, kids, the whole package deal. And I was all in. Jake, my best friend since college, would always give me shit about being whipped. But what did he know? He was still living the frat boy life at 30, dating a new girl every month. I had something real. Or at least I thought I did. The first couple years were honestly great. We had our routines. Sunday brunches, Netflix binges, weekend hikes. We'd take trips when we could afford it. Nothing crazy. Just weekend getaways to the coast or up to the mountains. For my birthday last year, she surprised me with tickets to see my favorite band. For hers, I got us a couple's massage at this fancy spa she'd been dropping hints about for months. Then before I knew it, things started changing about 6 months ago. Small stuff at first. Avery suddenly started having these late shifts at work, always on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She said it was for this big client project that would lead to a promotion. Made sense. Avery was always career-focused, always hustling for the next big opportunity. But she'd come home different on those nights. Sometimes extra chatty, other times weirdly quiet. Her perfume smelled stronger, like she'd just reapplied it. Once I noticed a drink stain on her blouse that wasn't there in the morning. Rough day? I asked. Client meeting, she said without missing a beat. You know how it is. And I believed her. Because why wouldn't I? That's what normal people do. They trust the person they've been with for years. Around the same time, she started being more protective of her phone. Would take it with her everywhere. Even to the bathroom, which she never used to do. Changed her laptop password too. Said it was for work security reasons, which sounded plausible enough. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. and she wasn't in bed. Found her in the kitchen, furiously typing away on her phone. When she noticed me, she jumped like she'd seen a ghost. Jesus, you scared me, she said, quickly putting her phone face down. Just checking work emails. At 2 in the morning? But I didn't push it. Just went back to bed and tried to ignore the weird feeling in my gut. I noticed other things too. She'd get these calls that she'd take in another room. Started doing more girls' nights with coworkers I'd never heard of. When I'd ask about her day, she'd give these vague answers that didn't really tell me anything. But every time those doubts crept in, she'd do something that made me feel stupid for worrying. She'd surprise me with tickets to a game or cook my favorite meal. It was like she could sense when I was getting suspicious and knew exactly how to throw me off the scent. So, I decided to double down on our relationship. If something was wrong, I'd fix it. Started planning more date nights, brought her flowers randomly, even took her on a weekend trip to this winery she'd been wanting to check out. And then I figured it's time. I went ring shopping. Spent way too much time researching the 4 C's of diamonds, like I suddenly needed to become a gemologist. Asked her friend Mia to help pick something out that Avery would like. You sure about this? Jake asked when I showed him the ring I was looking at. That's a lot of money for a little rock. She's worth it, I said confidently, like the absolute clown I was. I dropped 3 months' salary on that ring, made a reservation at this fancy Italian place downtown that's impossible to get into, called Mia to help plan it all out, She was going to make sure Avery wore something nice, did her nails, all that stuff girls apparently care about for proposal photos. The day I planned to propose, I was a nervous wreck. Kept checking my pocket every 5 minutes to make sure the ring was still there. Paced around our apartment waiting for Avery to come home from work so we could head to dinner. That's when her phone rang. She'd forgotten it that morning. Something she never did. The phone kept ringing. Same number, not saved in her contacts. 4 calls in 10 minutes. I kept thinking, what if something was wrong? What if she was hurt? So I picked it up, telling myself I was just being a concerned boyfriend. Hey babe, I've been trying to reach you, some dude's voice said. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place as always. And just like that, my whole world went to shit. My hands went completely numb holding her phone. Like, literally couldn't feel my fingers anymore. The room started spinning and I had to sit down on the couch before I fell over. Hello? Avery? You there? The voice said again. I hung up without saying anything. What the hell was I supposed to say? Hey man, this is actually the boyfriend. Please tell me you're not banging my girlfriend? Yeah, right. I sat there for maybe 30 seconds, just trying to breathe. Then my hands started moving on their own. I opened the phone. It doesn't have a password, although I told her to put 1,000,000 times. I checked her messages with this number. No contact name, just the number. That was the first red flag. Who doesn't save their contacts these days? What I found made me want to throw up. 6 fucking months of messages between them. Half a year of my life that was apparently all bullshit. There were meeting times at the Hyatt downtown. Heart emojis. Sexts that made me want to bleach my eyes. Nudes of Avery. And the worst part? Jokes about me. He still doesn't suspect anything. One of her texts read from a couple months back. Too busy with his video games to notice I'm getting dicked down twice a week, lol. I was about to throw up. I'm not even a big gamer. I play maybe a couple hours on weekends with Jake, but apparently that was enough for her to paint me as some oblivious loser while she was out cheating. And then there was talk about their future, plans to move in together eventually. How she was going to break things off with me after the holidays because she didn't want to ruin my Christmas. How fucking considerate of her, right? Wouldn't want to spoil my holiday spirit before she destroyed my life. As I'm scrolling through this nightmare, another text comes in from this guy. Don't forget to delete these messages like always. Your boyfriend's too trusting for his own good. You fucking think, asshole? Then I heard her key in the door. I barely had time to put the phone back exactly where she left it and try to look normal. Whatever normal looks like when you just found out your girlfriend of 3 years is a lying, cheating piece of work. She walked in all smiles, looking hot as hell in her work clothes. But for the first time, I was disgusted. Hey babe! Sorry I'm running late. Work was crazy today. She gave me a quick kiss like nothing was wrong. Let me just grab my phone and freshen up. Then I'm all yours for date night. I watched her face change for just a split second when she saw the missed calls. Her fingers flew across the screen, probably telling Loverboy she couldn't meet tonight because of our date. Then she disappeared into our bedroom. I stood there like I was frozen, engagement ring feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my pocket, while she got ready. I could hear her humming in the bathroom. Fucking humming! Feeling proud of herself running 2 relationships at the same time. I went to the kitchen and poured myself a drink. Needed something to stop my hands from shaking. My brain was racing 1,000,000 miles an hour. What the hell was I supposed to do now? Confront her immediately. Start screaming, throw her shit out the window. The whole dramatic scene. Or just pretend I didn't know and catch her in the act somehow. Follow her to one of their meetings. My last option was say nothing, gather evidence, and plan my exit carefully. I've never been great at confrontation. Plus, I was still in shock. So last option was, while she was in the shower, I took pictures of the texts with my phone. All of them. Sent them to my email, backed them up to my cloud drive. No way was she going to delete the evidence before I had receipts. Then I texted Mia. Need to talk ASAP. Important. About Avery. She replied almost immediately. What's up? Not over text. Tomorrow morning? Coffee shop on 12th? 9 a.m.? Sure, everything okay? I didn't answer that one. Nothing was okay, and wouldn't be for a long time. Avery came out of the bedroom looking gorgeous. Wore this tight black dress I'd always loved. Hair perfect, makeup done, smelling like that expensive perfume I'd bought her for Christmas. Ready to go? She asked, grabbing her purse. I'm starving. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak more than necessary. Somehow managed to get us an Uber to the restaurant without losing my shit. On the ride there, she chatted about office gossip, some drama with a coworker I'd never met. I kept thinking, is this coworker even real? Or just another cover story for her late shifts? I nodded along, made the right noises at the right times, all while my brain was screaming, "She's been cheating for 6 months, you idiot." We got to Vincenzo's and got seated at the table I'd reserved weeks ago, the one by the window with the city view, the romantic one that cost extra to book. The hostess gave me a little wink. She knew about the proposal plan. What a joke. Avery looked around, impressed. Wow, this place is fancy. What's the occasion? Just wanted to take you somewhere nice, I managed to say, without my voice cracking. The ring box in my pocket felt like it was burning a hole through my pants. I ordered something different from my usual. Avery raised an eyebrow. She knew I was a creature of habit. Everything okay? She asked, reaching across the table to touch my hand. You seem tense. Just work stuff, I lied. Funny how easy it was to lie when you needed to. Maybe I'd learned from the best. She launched into this story about her day at work, spinning lies so effortlessly, I almost had to admire the skill. The challenging project she'd been working on, the difficult client, how her boss was so impressed with her lately. Oscar-worthy performance, really. If lying was an Olympic sport, Avery would have all the gold medals. Throughout dinner, I watched her check her phone under the table at least 4 times. Each time, her fingers would move quickly across the screen before she'd put it away and smile at me like nothing happened. Sorry, work email, she'd say. Can't escape it even at dinner. Sure it is. At one point she asked, I guess she was trying to make up a conversation because I seemed a bit tense. Couldn't help it. Remember our first date? How you kept dropping your fork because you were so nervous? The memory hit me like a truck. I'd been so into her, so excited. Now I was wondering, had there been others before me? How many dudes had she juggled at once? Yeah, was all I could manage. While she chatted about weekend plans with our friends, I thought about our apartment. My name was on the lease. Most of our furniture we'd bought together. We shared a bank account for household expenses. 3 years of entangled lives would take time to unravel. My phone buzzed. Mia had replied to my text from earlier. Getting worried. Is this about the proposal? Second thoughts? I didn't respond. Would deal with that tomorrow. The waiter brought our food. I pushed mine around the plate while Avery ate like she didn't have a care in the world. Even ordered dessert. Chocolate mousse that we supposedly shared, though she ate most of it. So what's the special occasion? She asked again with a smile. You've been so secretive about tonight. I almost pulled out the ring right then, just to see the look on her face. Instead, I took another sip of my drink and said, just wanted to do something nice. You're the best, she said, reaching for my hand again. I'm so lucky to have you. The irony was almost too much to bear. Here she was, telling me how lucky she was, while planning to dump me after the holidays, while fucking some other dude twice a week during her late shifts. By the time we got home, I was exhausted from pretending everything was normal. I laid awake all night, watching her sleep peacefully next to me. The person I thought I knew better than anyone. The person I was ready to spend my life with. Turned out I didn't know her at all. The next morning, I met Mia at the coffee shop. Got there early, ordered the strongest black coffee they had, and grabbed a corner table where we could talk without being overheard. Hadn't slept more than an hour. My eyes probably looked like I'd been on a 3-day bender. Mia showed up right on time, looking confused and worried. She was Avery's friend first. They'd known each other since college, but we'd gotten close over the years too. Always thought she was straight up, one of the good ones. What's going on? She asked, sitting down with her fancy latte. You look like absolute shit, Tyler. How long have you known? I asked, cutting right to it. No point in small talk. Her face changed immediately. Got all defensive. Known what? About Avery cheating on me. She froze. The look on her face told me everything I needed to know before she even opened her mouth. I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. Cut the crap, Mia, I said, keeping my voice low but firm. I saw the texts. I know she's been seeing some guy for 6 months, during her late shifts at work. Mia set her cup down slowly, looked around like she was hoping for an escape route. Finally, she sighed. Listen, I found out a month ago, she admitted quietly. I saw them together at that hotel downtown. The Hyatt. I was there for a work thing and saw them in the lobby. Kissing. My stomach dropped even though I already knew. Hearing it confirmed by someone else made it real in a way the texts hadn't. A month, I repeated. You've known for a month and helped me plan a proposal? Mia looked away, guilt all over her face. I confronted her about it that same day. She swore it wasn't serious. Said it was just a physical thing. That she was going to end it. And you believe that bullshit? She's been my friend for 10 years, Tyler. She was crying, saying she made a mistake, said she loved you but was frustrated that you hadn't proposed yet. I almost laughed at that. So it's my fault she's been fucking someone else for 6 months. I didn't say that, Mia shot back. I told her she needed to end it and come clean with you. She promised she would. When exactly? After the holidays? That was her plan, right? Mia looked confused. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd taken. Her face got paler and paler as she scrolled through them. I didn't know about any of this, she whispered. She told me it was just a fling. These messages, they're talking about a future together. About telling you after Christmas. Yeah, Merry fucking Christmas to me, I said, taking my phone back. So you knew she was cheating, but helped me buy a ring anyway? What kind of friend does that? I kept telling her to end it, Mia insisted, tears forming in her eyes. She swore she would. I honestly thought if you proposed, she'd realize what she was risking, that she'd choose you. I stared at her, letting that sink in. So you used me as some kind of test? To see if she'd pick me over him? That's not. I wasn't thinking of it that way. Who is he? I asked. Do you know? She shook her head. Some guy from her company's LA office. Derek something. They met at a conference about 6 months ago. That tracked with the timeline. Avery had gone to LA for a marketing conference back in June. Came back all energized about new connections she'd made. Guess she wasn't talking about professional ones. Does anyone else know? I asked. Not that I'm aware of. Look, Tyler, I'm so sorry. I should have told you the moment I saw them together. She's been my best friend since college. I thought I knew her. I thought she'd do the right thing. We sat in silence for a minute. I already knew what to do. Finally, Mia asked, What are you going to do? I pulled out my phone again and showed her the email I'd drafted the night before. It was addressed to Avery's parents, her sister, her close friends, and several of her coworkers. Attached were screenshots of the most damning messages and her photos that she sent. That's brutal, Mia said quietly. You know what's brutal? I replied. Planning to propose to someone while they're planning a life with someone else. Mia didn't argue with that. When are you going to send it? Today, after I talk to her. I already called Jake this morning. He's going to help me move my stuff out while she's at yoga. You're leaving? Just like that. What would you do? I asked. Stay and try to work it out? She's been lying to my face for 6 months, Mia. Talking shit about me to this guy. Planning to dump me after the holidays. What's there to work out? She had no answer for that. Before I left, I asked one more thing. Did you help her? Cover for her at all? Mia shook her head firmly. Number I never lied for her. When she told me she was with me on those nights, I didn't know she was using me as an alibi. I only found out when I saw them together. I nodded, wanting to believe her. I'm gonna need the spare key back, I said, holding out my hand. She dug in her purse and handed it over. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. Yeah, I said, standing up. Me too. I spent the next few hours in autopilot mode. Called work, told them I needed a personal day. Called Jake, filled him in on the situation. Called my landlord, got my name taken off the lease. Called the bank, separated our joint account. Jake showed up with his truck around 11. Avery was at her regular Saturday morning yoga class, the one real thing in her schedule of lies. We worked fast, just grabbing my essential stuff. Clothes, electronics, personal items. Left all the furniture except my desk and gaming chair. Left the TV we'd bought together. Left the fancy kitchen stuff she'd picked out. By noon, we'd loaded up Jake's truck and my car with everything I couldn't bear to leave behind. 3 years of my life packed up in a couple hours. You sure about this, man? Jake asked as we did a final sweep of the apartment. Not that I blame you, but it's pretty final. That's the point, I said. I'd left my key on the kitchen counter, along with a note that just said, I know everything. We'll be back at 1 to talk. Be there. Jake helped me unload my stuff at his place. Offered to stay for moral support. But I told him I needed to do this last part alone. At exactly 1 p.m., I walked back into the apartment. Avery was already there, eyes wide, tension radiating off her. She'd seen the missing stuff. She'd seen my key on the counter. She knew something was coming. What's going on? She asked, her voice tight. Why are your things missing? Why is your key on the counter? I didn't bother with words. I pulled out my phone, hit play, and let her own voice destroy her. Her sweet little message to Derek filled the room, full of I miss yous, and how she couldn't wait to see him again. She froze, color draining from her face. I can explain, she started, already scrambling. Don't bother. I cut her off coldly. I saw it all. The texts, the photos, your little plan to dump me after the holidays. Mia filled in the blanks this morning. Her eyes flared. Mia told you? Like that was the biggest betrayal. Not the fact she'd been screwing another guy for 6 months, but that her friend had enough of a conscience to spill. She didn't have to. I saw your phone. Your boyfriend called 4 times yesterday. Guess he forgot the part about deleting the evidence. That's when she switched gears. Face hardening. Defense mode. Look, it's not what you think, she snapped. We were never official, Tyler. I don't have a ring on my finger, do I? I waited for you to commit for 3 years. What was I supposed to do? Just sit around forever while you made up your mind. I had to consider my options. I laughed. A low, sharp laugh. Options? That's what you call it? Exploring options by sneaking around like a coward? I stepped closer, dropping my voice. You think you were some victim of my indecision? I was going to propose to you last night. Her face cracked, confusion and regret bleeding through. What? I pulled out the ring box and tossed it onto the coffee table. Yeah, I had it all planned. Dinner at Vincenzo's, ring in my pocket. Mia helped set it up. But then your phone rang, and I got a front row seat to reality. So congratulations, Avery. You didn't get the ring because you were too busy getting bent over in hotel rooms by Derek. She reached for the box like it could somehow fix everything, like it was a lifeline she was about to drown without. We can fix this, she said weakly. It was a mistake. He didn't mean anything to me. I moved the box out of her reach. 6 months of mistakes isn't a mistake, it's a lifestyle. And you lived it well. Her fake tears dried up fast. Anger took over. So that's it? 3 years and you're throwing it all away over one little indiscretion? Little? I scoffed. Avery, this wasn't some drunken accident. This was planned, coordinated. You played house with me and played mistress with him. You insulted me behind my back. You lied over and over. That's not little. That's you showing me exactly who you are. I pulled out a folder and dropped it onto the table. I'm off the lease. Utilities, done. Joint account, closed. Your half is already sitting in your personal account. I'm gone. Her face crumbled. You're just leaving? After everything? Now that I know you were going to propose, we can fix this. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Yeah, convenient timing. Now that the safety net's gone, you suddenly want to work it out. No, Avery. There's no we anymore. There's just you and your regrets. She stepped closer, reaching for me like I was still that idiot who would have fallen for it. You don't mean that. You love me. I know you do. I stared at her, calm, solid. That person I loved doesn't exist anymore. I headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and check your email in about 5 minutes, along with your family, friends, and coworkers. Her face went pale. What did you do? Just shared the truth, I replied. Something you should have done from the beginning if you were so unhappy with me not committing to you. Her expression changed to panic. You didn't. Tyler, please, don't do this. I'll do anything. Should have thought of that before you started fucking Derek from LA, I said, and walked out the door. In my car, I hit send on the email, then turned off my phone. It was done. 3 years. Over just like that. And the craziest part, under all the anger and hurt, there was this weird sense of relief, like I'd just escaped something much worse than a breakup. The next 48 hours were a straight-up blur. After I sent that email and turned off my phone, I drove around aimlessly for hours. Ended up at some random park on the other side of town, just sitting in my car staring at nothing like a complete zombie. When I finally turned my phone back on around midnight, it exploded with notifications. Texts, calls, voicemails, emails, everyone weighing in on the nuclear bomb I'd just dropped on Avery's life. Her sister called me 7 times, leaving progressively angrier voicemails. Her parents each sent these long, disappointed texts about how this isn't how adults handle problems, and how I should have discussed this privately. Fuck that noise. Where was all this family concern when their precious daughter was cheating for 6 months? Mia texted that Avery was completely destroyed and hasn't stopped crying. Cool story. Don't care. The most interesting responses came from her coworkers. Turns out good old Derek from LA wasn't just some random dude. He was a senior director at her company who was very much engaged to another woman. And now everyone at their company knew he'd been banging Avery behind his fiance's back. Career suicide for both of them. One of Avery's work friends actually thanked me. Said Derek had been using his position to pressure younger female employees for years, but no one had proof until now. Jake let me crash at his place. Set me up in his spare room with an air mattress and some sheets. Brought me a 6-pack and didn't ask questions when I drank it all in one sitting. You need anything else, man? He asked. A time machine would be great, I said. Go back and never meet her in the first place. Jake just nodded. You did the right thing. Walking away. Most guys would have dragged it out. Tried to fix things. Nothing to fix, I mumbled. Can't unfuck another dude. I spent Sunday applying for transfers at work. My company had offices in Seattle and Austin. Figured a fresh start might be the only way to get past this mess. Next day, things got even more insane. Derek's fiance had seen the emails and screenshots I'd sent around. She'd apparently confronted him, and he'd tried to blame everything on Avery, said she was obsessed with him and wouldn't take no for an answer. Classic move. Throw your side piece under the bus to save your own ass. The fiance wasn't buying it, though. She contacted me directly, asking for everything I had on their affair. I sent her the whole folder of screenshots and pictures. She thanked me, then proceeded to send them to his entire family, friend group, and their wedding party. 2 lives imploding for the price of one. Can't say I felt bad about it. Meanwhile, Avery was doing damage control with everyone she knew. According to mutual friends, she was telling people we were practically broken up anyway, and on a break in her mind. Said I was never around and always gaming with the boys instead of paying attention to her. Such bullshit. I played maybe 3 to 4 hours a week with Jake, tops. The rest of the time, I was either working or doing stuff with her. Then Friday night, the night before I was set to drive to Seattle, she showed up at Jake's again. This time she was sober, and Jake called me to deal with it. She says she's not leaving until she talks to you, he said. Want me to call the cops? No, I sighed. I'll handle it. I went downstairs to the building entrance where Jake was keeping her in the lobby. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. Hair a mess, eyes puffy from crying, wearing what looked like pajama pants and one of my old hoodies she must have found at the apartment. 5 minutes, I said flatly. That's all you get. We sat on a bench outside Jake's building. It was cold, but I didn't invite her up. No way was she setting foot in my temporary safe space. You're really leaving? She asked, wrapping her arms around herself. Yep. So that's it? You're just going to run away? I laughed. That's rich coming from the person who was planning to dump me after Christmas. How is this any different? Except the timeline got moved up. She flinched. Those texts, it wasn't serious with Derek. We were just talking. I wasn't actually going to leave you. Bullshit, I said. I saw everything, Avery. The hotel meetups. The plans for him to move here. All of it. I was confused, she tried. You weren't proposing. We weren't moving forward. I thought maybe you didn't want the same things I did. So instead of talking to me about it, you decided to fuck some other guy? That was your solution? She started crying again. God, the tears. Like a faucet she could turn on and off. I made a mistake, she sobbed. The biggest mistake of my life. I love you, Tyler. Only you. Derek was just, I don't know, an escape? A distraction? A distraction, I repeated. For 6 months? That's a hell of a distraction, Avery. Please, she grabbed my hand. I pulled it away immediately. Please don't leave like this. We can work through this. Go to counseling. Start over. I'll do anything. Would you have done anything if I hadn't caught you? If I'd proposed that night like I planned? Would you have come clean then? She hesitated just a second too long. That's what I thought, I said, standing up. Your 5 minutes are up. Tyler, wait, she called as I walked back to the building entrance. What about the ring? Can I at least have that to remember you by? I stopped, not believing what I was hearing. Turned around slowly. You want the engagement ring I was going to propose with? The one you didn't get because you were too busy cheating on me? That ring? She nodded, tears still streaming down her face. I was going to say yes, you know. I always wanted to marry you. Just not enough to stop fucking another guy, right? I shook my head in disbelief. Goodbye, Avery. You'll regret this, she called after me as I walked inside. No one will ever love you like I did. Yeah, thank God for that. I left for Seattle at dawn the next day. Didn't tell anyone except Jake when exactly I was leaving, afraid Avery might try to make some dramatic last stand. The ring went to a pawn shop. Got less than half what I paid for it, but whatever. At least it was gone. Mostly, I felt free. Like I'd escaped something worse than just a bad relationship. I'd escaped a life with someone who could lie to my face for months while planning to leave me all along. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be willing to let it go. The drive to Seattle was long as hell, but weirdly therapeutic. Just me, the open road, and a playlist Jake made for me called Fuck Cheaters. Real creative, right? 10 hours of angry breakup songs and enough gas station coffee to kill a small animal. I rolled into Seattle late Saturday night in the pouring rain, of course, and found my temporary apartment. It was this tiny studio above a Thai restaurant downtown, furnished with the most basic IKEA crap you can imagine. First week passed in a blur of new faces, new projects, and takeout dinners eaten alone in my sad little apartment. I'd mute my phone during the day, but every night I'd check it to find more messages from Avery or about Avery. Mia texted that Avery lost her job. Apparently, the whole Derek situation blew up spectacularly at work. He was engaged to the daughter of one of the company's biggest clients, So guess who got thrown under the bus? Not the senior director with connections, that's for sure. Jake reported that Avery had shown up at our old apartment complex looking for me, even though she knew I'd moved cities. Told the neighbors I was having a mental health crisis and had run away during treatment. What the actual fuck? Her sister found my new email somehow and sent this long, guilt-trippy message about how Avery was in a really dark place and how I should at least talk to her for closure. Closure my ass. She had 6 months of dick appointments for closure while I was planning a proposal. Then Friday night happened. I was just getting back to my apartment when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered, "Hello? Tyler?" It was Avery, slurring her words. Drunk, dialing me from yet another new number. I should have hung up, but some masochistic part of me wanted to hear what new bullshit she'd come up with. "What do you want, Avery?" "I'm coming to Seattle," she announced. "I got a job interview there next week. We should meet up." My blood ran cold. No way was this happening. No way was she following me across state lines. "Don't," I said firmly. "Don't come here. Don't try to find me. We're done. You can't tell me where I can and can't go," she slurred. "It's a free country, and Seattle's a big city. Maybe I want to live there too." "Avery, listen to me closely. We are never getting back together. Never. If you come here trying to find me, I'll get a restraining order." She laughed, this ugly, bitter sound. "For what? I haven't done anything wrong." "Harassment," I said. "I have hundreds of texts and calls from you and your friends after being repeatedly told to stop contacting me." That sobered her up quick. "You wouldn't try me." She went quiet, then she promised she'd prove she'd changed, said she'd move to Seattle, stay out of my way, and wait until I was ready to talk. I shut that down fast. I wouldn't be. This wasn't some movie where a grand gesture fixes everything. It was over. She tried again, but I hung up and blocked her number. I texted Jake about her job interview and how she might move to Seattle. He called me right away, calling it some fatal attraction shit. I agreed. Was she serious? With Avery, who knew? But I wasn't taking chances. I changed my address to a P.O. box and made sure my name wasn't on my sublet lease. She'd have a hard time finding me. Jake warned me to be careful. Understatement of the year. And true to her drunk-ass promises, Avery did come to Seattle the following week. Posted a bunch of pics on Instagram at tourist spots. One was even at a coffee shop 2 blocks from my office. But I wasn't about to let her catch me off guard. I switched up my routes to work, kept my head on a swivel, and avoided the usual downtown spots where she might accidentally show up. I wasn't scared, just smart. No way was I giving her a chance to corner me. Then one evening, the doorbell rang. My building had tight security, so I figured it couldn't be her. I checked the peephole, and there she was. Avery, dressed to impress, heels, makeup, everything on point. Like she was auditioning for some twisted reunion scene. She had the nerve to say that the guy downstairs let her in, and she just wanted 5 minutes to talk. I didn't answer. Didn't blink. Let her talk to the damn door. She kept going, rambling about her job interview, how it went well, how she was planning to move to Seattle and start over. Like we could just hit reset. Like her betrayal didn't exist. I didn't say a word. Silence speaks louder. Then she said she brought something for me. I heard paper rustling. Saw a folded note slide under the door. She lingered a second, waiting for a reaction. She got none. When her footsteps finally faded, I picked it up. A therapy receipt. 1 session. 1. Dated 2 days after I left Portland. With a pathetic little note scribbled on it about getting help and doing whatever it takes to fix things. I laughed my ass off and threw it in the trash. But now she knew where I lived. That crossed a line. She invaded my space. That was the last straw. That night, I shot an email to my landlord. Told him I needed to break the lease for safety reasons. By Friday, I locked down a new place. Secure building, underground parking, key fob access to every door and elevator. More expensive than my old place, but worth every damn cent for peace of mind. I moved that weekend. Fast, clean, quiet. Only Jake and my boss knew the address. No forwarding info, no clues. I cut the loose ends. Clean break. I'll update you guys if anything new pops up. Update. Hey guys, just hit my 1-year anniversary in Seattle, and things are looking up. Met that chick Claire about 6 months ago at this coffee shop near my new place. Yeah, I know. Another coffee shop. Life's full of weird little patterns. She's nothing like Avery. Software engineer, straight shooter, zero drama. Takes her coffee black and laughs at my dumb jokes. We're taking it slow, but it feels real, you know? Told her about the Avery situation on our 3rd date. Figured she deserved the full picture. She just nodded and said she's paranoid. And that was that. Haven't heard from Avery in months now. Last I heard from Jake, she moved to Chicago. Sometimes I think about how close I came to proposing to someone who was living a double life, and it still feels like I dodged a bullet. The ring money I got back from the pawn shop? Used it for a weekend trip with Claire to this cabin on the coast? Way better investment than a diamond for someone who didn't deserve it.